We are now going to use the idea of correlation. We are going to look at plotting ordered pairs and then deciding what kind of correlation is actually there with those ordered pairs. So in your assignment, you're actually going to be given 4 or 5 different ordered pairs to plot. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to talk about correlation in relationship to that. So all of these mostly will be in your positive first quadrant. So let's see what happens here. Okay. My first one is 4, 5. Okay, there's one dot. And then 1, 2. And 5, 6. 6. Somewhere up there. 8, 11. 11, all the way up there, 7, 9, okay, 2, 5. Okay, now notice, these ordered pairs do not all lie on the same line, which is, in correlation, we're not necessarily looking at ordered pairs lying exactly on a straight line. But you will notice if you look at this, the general direction of these dots is from low to high, and they tend to form in a linear or line type of direction. So this would be called a positive correlation because your line is increasing as you move from left to right. And you can see that they're not all there on the line, but it has a general direction like that, okay? So now let's look at another one. Okay, notice this one also is not necessarily in a straight line. Not all the dots are in a straight line, but you will notice that it generally tends to run in a downhill direction if you draw a line kind of between those dots. Now, we could do something like this, but it's just through the dots and a various kind of try to gear it. They tend to group towards that line. Therefore, this is a correlation. It is a linear correlation, and this one is a negative correlation because your line is running in a falling direction as you move from left to right, just like the slope of the line. You can see how your correlation looks very much like a slope of a line, even though you may not calculate it, but it is definitely a negative direction slope. Therefore, it is a negative correlation, okay? Now let's look at one that has no correlation. And you're going to see a huge difference in them. Okay, you see how all over the place those are? There is no really true grouping in any direction. Therefore, this particular graph, it has no correlation. because they are not grouping towards any kind of a line. And so this is an example of no correlation on the line. I mean, I can take any two dots in there and draw a line between them, but they're not grouping together towards any one of those lines. So therefore, it would be a no correlation. Okay, the next thing we're going to look at is correlation by idea. So let's look at the first idea of correlation. The first idea I want you to look at is the number of hours you study. Okay, 0 and increasing. Okay, if you start at 0 hours of study, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. And now on the vertical, you're going to look at grades. And you're going to look at, how about a 50%, 60%, 70%, 80%, 90%, and 100%. You notice how your grades increase as you go from low to high. Now look, if you study 0 hours, what kind of grade do you think you're going to get? Well, it's probably going to be down low somewhere. If I study 2 hours, is that going to make my grade better? Yeah, sure. It may not be a great grade, but hopefully it's better than what you had at 0 hours. And how about 4 hours? Well, again, that's going to make my grade even better and even better. So this idea is a positive correlation, because as the number of hours increase, the grades also increase, and that puts a positive correlation. Now let's look at another correlation. What if I had hours of light versus temperature? As my hours of light increase from 3 up to 24 hours, think of Alaska, and my hours of, and my temperature is going to increase from maybe negative 30 degrees up to 90 degrees. Now let me ask you, when I have almost no light in the daytime in Alaska, what kind of temperatures do I have? I might even have negative 70 degrees. So they're very low temperatures when you have no light. As our light increases, so does our temperature, to where when we're having maybe 24 hours of lightness in Alaska, your temperature may get up as high as 85 to 90 degrees. So as hours of light increase, so does my temperature, giving me another positive correlation. But what if we said hours of light decrease? Then what's going to happen? We're going to go from 24 hours to 3 hours of light. Now what's going to happen to my temperature? Well, I changed the direction of my hours, didn't I? So at 24 hours, I'm now up here at 85, 90 degrees. At 3 hours, I'm down here at negative temperatures, and here will be anywhere in between. So we end up with a negative correlation. So you see, the way you can change your correlation direction is to change the direction of your numbers, okay? Another correlation would be to look at something like standing on a street corner watching the number of blue cars go by in 5 minutes and the number of red cars go by. That would probably end up with no correlation, because they are not related in any way. Okay? We'll finish this in the next video.